Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos los que se unen a esta sesión informativa de Colfuturo con Florida International University. El día de hoy, como ya lo sabrán, vamos a tener una sesión específicamente sobre esta institución, sobre sus programas y sobre el convenio que se tiene con Colfuturo, que en este caso puede ser muy valioso para ustedes, ya que implica una beca del 100% en el valor de la matrícula para programa de doctorado. Así que si alguno está en ese proceso de buscar su programa de doctorado, puede encontrar en esta institución una excelente oportunidad para obtener este descuento o esta beca del 100% en el valor de la matrícula. Asimismo, para aquellos que no van a cursar doctorado, sino que van a cursar un programa de maestría, también hay un beneficio para que en este caso ustedes tengan, no sé si se diga así, pero la tasa o tengan el valor de la matrícula como estudiantes, no sé cómo se dice en español, como estudiantes
¿Doméstico? No, no, no entendí.
domésticas. Sí, como estudiantes domésticos y no internacionales. Entonces, creo que ya más adelante las representantes de la universidad, Claudia y Nanette, nos van a dar un poquito más de información para que sea más claro para ustedes. Así que con esta pequeña introducción le doy la bienvenida a Claudia, le doy la bienvenida a Nanette. Gracias por acompañarnos y pueden iniciar con su presentación.
Ok. Muy buenas tardes todo el mundo. Si no les molesta, voy a hacer la presentación en inglés para poder fluir más pronto. Okay. Bueno, thank you to CoFuturo for having us here today. And I'd like to introduce you a little bit to the university and our state. And so thank you once again for joining us. Studying in Florida is a wonderful opportunity. As you can see from the information on this particular slide, we are a destination that is very popular for students studying from abroad. And there are many reasons for that. But one of them is that we speak your language. You are also going to find a wide variety of programs that you are interested in pursuing, and we'll review those as we continue with the presentation. The other piece of information that I can tell you specifically for FIU is that we are the fourth largest institution in the US. So we are not only a state of wide destination for many students, but also our university in particular attracts a wide variety of students from many disciplines. So part of the reasons why students are attracted to the state is because of our climate, of course, but also because of the quality of the education they receive and the different types of institutions that exist. Our institution is a high research public university offering master's and doctoral programs. We also offer specialist degrees. So there are different segments and industries that you may find that require one or the other. Some of them, even as a master's degree, may be considered a terminal degree for your field. So that's something else that you might want to ask about. We have a wide variety of students. So there is a great diversity in terms of the countries represented and in terms of the experiences that they bring. So it makes it for a more enriching experience overall. So we're going to speak a little bit more about FIU in particular. And so, as I indicated before, it is a top research institution. The faculty are involved in research with sharks, for instance, when it's a biology student, research helping to improve the public health of the local community, but also to a greater extent, the globe. We have faculty doing research on wind mitigation, for instance, in our College of Engineering, and working to improve the ability of buildings to withstand hurricane strength force winds. So there's a wide array of topics and research that are ongoing at the institution. It is a large institution, as I mentioned. We have 56,000 students in total, and of that group, about 10,000 are graduate students. So you will be entering a large group of like-minded individuals pursuing their degrees of advanced studies. But by no means should you feel that you will be, you will feel isolated or feel like one of a very, very large group of people. Oftentimes you'll be working with fellow students in a cohort, right? So you'll be reaching your degree together and can rely on one another for that support. And even though the university is large with numbers, it does feel still like a home away from home. So you will get that interaction, that close interaction with faculty and staff, and get to know one another really well. Yes, we have international as our middle name. And so our international student population is quite large as well. And students from Colombia are very well represented as the top countries at the university. A little bit of background story of the history of FIU. We actually opened in 1972, and it was at the time the largest opening enrollment in US history. We were offering courses or programs for students that had junior, senior level kind of upper division coursework. And many years later, we opened up for freshmen and sophomores as well. So we became a full institution in that regard. We saw the student from the very beginning of their education at the university level to the end, right? And we also have another campus opening a few years later. That campus is about 30 minutes north, and it is on the bay. You will see a sample and images of that campus soon. But the reason why you see an airplane here is because we are actually built on a previous airplane kind of airport location. And we still have the tower, the control tower, because it's historic and because now it houses our Veterans Affairs Office. So we do help and continue to assist families that have contributed to the country in terms of serving as military members. We help those students as well. So this is just a quick overview of rankings that we have. Again, this is only a small example of the different types of rankings that we have based on different journals in the field, right? So there's fields like in the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Wall Street Journal. There's different types of entities that have their own sets of rankings, but we consistently rank highly in those areas of interest. And so just wanted to give you a sample of what that might be in case you happen to be in one of these programs. Now, just to get a sense of what the campuses look like and what happens at each campus, we do have the Modesto Medic campus, which is our main campus. This is located about 15 minutes west of the Miami International Airport, and it sits on about 300 acres. The campus houses a good majority of our colleges and schools. For instance, our College of Arts and Sciences and Education, College of Business, our College of Public Health, and our College of, College of Public Health. Those are the ones that come to mind at the moment. But we also have our Biscayne Bay campus, and that campus houses our School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, as well as our School of Journalism. As you can see, it sits right on the bay. So it's a very beautiful campus. Very different from the main campus in terms of energy, right? Biscayne Bay campus is a little bit more relaxed versus the Modesto Medic campus, which is just very hectic and busy, and people seem to be heading off to a lot of different activities all the time. But each has its merits. I-75 is a campus, a smaller campus. It's a little further north, maybe an hour away. It's in Pembroke Pines, so it's Broward, our neighboring county. And this particular site is for students that are in public administration, in reading education. So there are some programs that are housed there, you know, for educational purposes and for meetings and those types of things. The campus on Brickell is primarily in our downtown location, but it is primarily where you will see some of the programs in the College of Business. Also, public administration has a location there as well. And that's simply because that's the financial hub of the city. So it makes sense to have the campus there. Our Urban Studios is housed in Miami Beach, and that is where our art program has studios, and also they have different events with artists that they bring to have expositions there and those types of things. The sample that you're seeing here from the engineering campus, which is about 8 blocks from the main campus, is our Wall of Wind. this is renowned facility that we have at the university, and the wind kind of tunnels that you're seeing there are what create the effect of a category 5 hurricane. So when they're testing the strength of buildings and building materials, this is for our construction management program, our civil engineering program, they're using those kind of fans that simulate that type of a hurricane strength, right? So we do have a lot of innovation happening. Now, these are other centers that we have further afield. Just to give you a sample, we have the Aquarius Reef Base. That is underwater. It is in Key Largo, and it is used by NASA astronauts, believe it or not, because it simulates the zero gravity environment of space. It's also used by our marine scientists, our biologists, so different purposes, but it is the only underwater reef base located in the US. So something else that's unique about FIU. We have a study abroad program in Italy. That particular program is for our master's students and students who are working in interior architecture, because they have a certificate in super yacht design, and they have the facilities there where they're actually building the yachts, and students are able to experience firsthand what that entails, what is involved in doing that in the future. And we have several museums that are affiliated with the university as well, for those of you who are interested in art history, and studies related to archiving, public history, those types of things. The programs, numbers wise, number over 200. Of course, the majority at the graduate level at least are going to be masters. And as you move further and further in studies, it's going to be less and less students and more tailored to specific areas, right? But the other thing that I wanted to share, which I think is going to be very valuable to you, is coming up in the next slide. And that is the list that we have of all of the different programs, specifically what is required of each, what are the deadlines, and who the contacts are. So there is a QR code that I would recommend that you take a screenshot of, because that's going to take you directly to that site and allow you to search more specifically for your particular programs of interest. And so this is the page, what it'll look like initially. And as you dig in deeper, you'll see the specific details for each program. So it's really a very helpful page that we try to maintain as up to date as possible. In terms of student services, we want to make sure that we support students not only when they are coming in, but also throughout their journey academically, and just making sure that you are mentally supported as well. Mental health increasingly is more important. And so many of these services attempt to do that, right? To not only support you academically in the classroom, but also you as a student, as a person, as a professional that is developing. And so we have areas, for instance, the student health clinics, which will provide you should you need any support with medications, right? With any ailments that you may have, referrals. We have the student food pantry, which really is, I think, critical for students, especially as, you know, the demands on our funds, right, are so limited nowadays, and inflation and everything keeps going up. The prices of food, the prices of everything keep rising. So we have, as a university, a practice of making sure that our students are provided for in regards to any food, right? So for students and food security, we have a location where they can go, and no questions asked. They have the ability to have some food provided to them. That is, you know, food that is donated by the university community, you know, faculty, staff, other students. And so that is possible through the student food pantry. You can also help with those different offices and services. So that's another way that you can contribute. If you don't necessarily need it for yourself, you can always contribute. As I mentioned earlier, we have a Veterans and Military Affairs office. We have also for your, you know, counseling services, we have that ability as well. So quite a number of different student services that are provided. In terms of housing, there is housing on campus and there's housing off campus. On-campus housing is very limited for graduate students, I do have to say, although there is now some housing for graduate students and families, but it is very limited and the demand is high. But the good news is that there is housing off campus, which is literally within walking distance. We have about 5 different buildings, if not more, that have, they're multi-story buildings, some of them fully furnished. And so this is where you can provide information or access information about the off-campus housing that is available. What I would suggest is that you do your research for any of these things well in advance. It's wonderful that you're already starting to do so now by joining us today. Because many of these, because of the demand, many of these things require that you reach out, start applying, start making those requests early on in order to secure your space and make sure that everything is ready for when you actually begin your classwork. So another link and QR code here so that you can use this site and search to see if you have a specific interest, a specific budget. It allows you to do that search. In terms of student life, we have a very robust student life, more than 300 organizations, and at least 50 of those are devoted to graduate students. If an organization that you're interested in does not exist, you also have the ability to create an organization pretty easily, as long as you have other students that are also interested in creating that and joining you. It's a formality, but it can be done. These organizations are, I think, critical for your graduate experience because they are going to allow you to connect to other students in ways that you may not be able to do while in class. And so you'll find out about associations that you may not be aware of, industry practices, have an opportunity to do mock interviews, even before you actually have to do the interviews, right? So there's all sorts of benefits to joining an organization on campus. And I would say it makes the experience incredibly more rich. So just to piggyback on that experience and the organizations, these are other opportunities that you can be a part of. The University Graduate School, which Claudia is a part of, is really always working tirelessly to make sure that students have kind of a good 360-degree experience, right? And the Graduate Student Advisory Board is an opportunity for students to really have the ear of the deans and really voice their concerns. So if you see something on campus that may not be working, or if you'd like other opportunities and you want to voice that, you would be representing your other fellow students in the student advisory board. And it also gives you that professional development experience, right? Something that you can add to your resumes in the future and say, look, I was a member of this organization, you know, I had this responsibility, right? So it's another way for you to develop that aspect of yourself. The Professional Student Committee, on the other hand, is an entity which helps fund conferences. And so if you submit an abstract or a paper and that is accepted and you would like to go, but you may not have the individual funds to do so, this organization facilitates that because they usually cover your expenses for registration at the conference and also for travel. So it is a wonderful, wonderful addition to student government life at the graduate level. And then, yes, we celebrate graduate students all year round, really, but there is a special week that's devoted to graduate students, and that's usually in April, where we highlight the research that you're doing, we highlight the types of work and allow you to prepare and participate and present to others what it is that you have been doing all along. So we celebrate you. I try to go quickly so that we can get to questions because I know that that's more important sometimes. And so if you need to reach out to us, you're more than welcome to do so. This is our contact information. We also host different information sessions throughout the year where we're talking about different aspects of the application, such as how to submit the application itself, what you're going to find when you apply, what other types of funding you may be eligible for. So all different types of topics that we try to cover, and we are always open for suggestions. So you can always let us know what you feel isn't necessarily being addressed in the information session, and then we can work on adding another one. So thank you again for your time, and I will cede the floor to Claudia.
So we'll take any questions now. Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta sobre FIU, sobre nuestros programas.
Sí. Bueno, antes que ir a las preguntas, gracias, Nanet, por toda la información. Fue de gran utilidad para todos. Y vamos ya ahora sí a abrir ese espacio de preguntas. Y antes de leer la que tenemos en Q&A, tengo una acá que recibimos por redes que se repite bastante frecuente y es el tema del doctorado. Entonces, puntualmente preguntan cómo acercarse, cómo hacer ese contacto con un posible supervisor. ¿Se debe buscar la investigación o qué se debe hacer en ese escenario?
Well, I always believe that it's important, not only as you're doing the research, to find out what the deadlines are and what the requirements are, but to start looking at what the faculty is doing research in, because that really is important and critical, especially for the doctoral programs, that you have a research match that is with one of the faculty members on staff. For instance, chemistry, biochemistry, and biology, right? They require that you have a faculty sponsor. So as you're applying, yes, you have to submit the traditional transcripts, you have to submit personal statements and those types of things. But if you do not have a faculty sponsor, they will not even consider your application. So how do you get a faculty sponsor? You start doing the legwork. You start looking at the website for the department. You start finding out, okay, all of the websites for the departments, by the way, are going to include not only the names of the faculty, but it's going to include their credentials. It's going to include what research they're doing, may have links to the types of articles that they've written. So that is the legwork that I'm talking about. That is what you need to do in order to be a well-informed consumer and in order to be a great applicant. Because if you can identify in your personal statement, oh, I know that Professor so-and-so works in this field, and I want to do this in the future, you have a step up for other applicants.
Y quisiera agregar otra cosita, aparte de lo que dice Nanette. Voy a dejar en el chat un enlace hacia una de las páginas que tenemos aquí en FIU, donde se puede buscar profesores y o temas específicos de investigación a los que están interesados. Entonces, si ya tienen un área en la que están interesados, se pueden meter en esta base de datos y le va a dar una lista de todos los profesores, por ejemplo, que están involucrados con ese tipo de investigación en la universidad. Entonces, es otra herramienta aparte de visitar las páginas de cada departamento en el que estén interesados.
Muchas gracias a todos. Compartí este link por el chat, entonces pueden tener acceso para que lo puedan revisar. Vamos a seguir con la pregunta de Juan. Él pregunta, ¿Does the university offer a pathway program for master's degree?
So I guess I would want more clarity, but we do have, for instance, we have programs that students can, okay, let me step back. Students sometimes think that they have to apply, they can only apply for a doctoral program if they have a master's. That's incorrect. Many doctoral programs will admit students directly to the master's from a bachelor's degree. That's a pathway, if we want to look at it that way. We also have programs that offer combined MA PhDs. So there are programs, for instance, in international relations. International relations is the PhD, but the MA is in Latin American studies or African diaspora studies or religious studies. There's different combinations, right? So that's another type of pathway. We also have bachelor's programs that offer a combined BS MS or BA MA degree. That is for students who are already at the university who want to earn their master's degree, know that they want to pursue a more advanced degree, and therefore can share credits between the bachelor's and the master's. That's a pathway as well. So I'm not sure, if that answers the question, but those are different types of pathways for graduate education.
We're gonna go with Juliana. She says, I would like to know if you have master's degree in journalism and are, I don't know what that means. If I don't know if you can help me, Claudia, because I don't know what it's BFA.
And BFA in visual arts profession. Okay, so Juliana, we do have a master's in journalism. It would be a master's in mass communication. Okay, now the master's in mass communication is the degree, but we also have a program which is called Global Strategic Communication. And that particular program is for students, for instance, in what used to be called public relations and advertising. That's the name that was given to that program, right? So names can change, but the content is essentially a content of advertising public relations, and that's for global and strategic communications.
Thank you. Then we have Miguel. Quisiera preguntar acerca de la admisión condicionada. ¿Qué documentos hay que tener obligatoriamente?
Okay, so definitely the application, there's a $30 application fee. You need to have your transcripts from your previous institutions. Now, because this is students from Colombia, the majority of you may have transcripts, not only from Colombia, from other foreign institutions, right? So if it's an institution outside of the US, we have changed our process. So in the past, the students had to send the transcripts directly from that institution to FIU. That is no longer the case. So what happens now is that you need to have the transcripts evaluated. It's a course-by-course evaluation that has to happen by a NACES approved organization. I can give you the link in the chat. But basically, you have to approach one of the companies on the list. We do not dictate what company you choose. It's up to you. The cost will vary from one company to another, right? And we do have 2 companies that will give you discounted fees if you're applying to FIU. I will put their names in the chat. Now, I say this because it can be costly, right? So what happens is that if you earned a degree from an institution and it is a foreign institution, you need to submit a course-by-course evaluation. We cannot review your application without it. So it will remain in a pending state until we receive those documents. The documents will come directly from one of the companies in that list. So that's how we consider it official. If it comes from you, it is not official. It has to come from those companies, okay? Besides the course-by-course evaluation, if it is in a language other than English, it also needs to be translated. So you need to request 2 things, translation and course-by-course evaluation, okay? Now, once we receive that, if your particular program does not require a GRE or a GMAT exam, many programs no longer do so, then we can refer your application to the department and they will be able to consider you. If your studies are from a non-English speaking country, the other thing that you will need to submit is English proficiency. So we need either a TOEFL exam, a Duolingo exam, or an IELTS. And I will put in the chat the different requirements for those. For the, let's see here, or it's one of the 3. It doesn't have to be each one, okay? Just one of them. Paper-based exam or exam. Okay, so those are the minimum results that you would need. If you don't have the minimum, then you need to retake the test. Unfortunately, we will not be able to consider you for the program, okay? This is ultimately for your benefit. This is the requirement that was determined to be what is necessary for a student to succeed in their courses at the graduate level. So we're really asking you to provide proof that in the long term, you're going to succeed, right? So that's why you need to meet those minimums. Besides the course-by-course evaluation, the translation, and the English proficiency test, individual programs of study may require other things. So they may require letters of recommendation, a personal statement. They may require an interview, a writing sample, portfolio. So you need to look on the site that I indicated earlier, right? The admissions requirement page, and I can give you the link in the chat as well, just to remind you. But that's where it's going to tell you what other types of documents you're going to need for your program of interest. And all of those need to be submitted by the deadline, okay? If they aren't, then more than likely, you will need to defer your application to be considered for a future semester. The longer after the deadlines that those items are submitted, the less likelihood that you would be considered for your desired semester. I know it's a very long-winded answer, but those are the requirements. So.
Thanks, Nanette. We're going to go with next question. It's Valeria. She's asking, I would like to know if you have a master's in law.
So, Valeria, we have a master's, LLM, which is a master's for foreign lawyers that we offer. It is a one-year program, and it is available to our through our law school, which handles admissions separately. We also have a Juris Doctorate, so the more traditional degree for law. But yes, we do have a master's.
Tenemos a David.
I just added the link to the law
Tengo mi
school here.
copia del GRE.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Su pregunta es, tengo mi copia del GRE, ¿puedo enviarla o debo pedir a ETS que envíe la copia?
Okay, so you should have ETS send it directly to the university. For the GRE, I'm going to give you the school code for GRE, so that you can send it to the right location. The other thing I would say is double check, because you may have taken the GRE, but is it still needed for your program? It doesn't hurt to share the scores, right? It doesn't hurt to send the official report to the university. The university, when it does the admissions review, is going to review all of these different factors. So they're not just basing it on one thing or basing it on your GPA, right? So everything is really important to determine if you're going to be a good student for the program. But again, just in your research, if you haven't taken it, just double check to see if it's even necessary, because it's going to save time, your sacrifice, funds, all of those things.
Su segunda pregunta es, ¿el examen de lengua tiene algún vencimiento para la aplicación al doctorado?
It's valid for 3 years.
Y la última que tiene David es, ¿qué tipo de visa aplicaría para un programa de doctorado?
So, normally speaking, it would be an F1. That's the student visa. Sometimes depending on the student, it could be a J visa, which is more of an exchange visa. And usually with a J visa, it requires that you return to your home country and work for several years. That's the expectation. So the F student visa doesn't have that restriction. So a lot of times students prefer to apply for that.
Seguimos con la pregunta de mi ladies. Me gustaría conocer cuánto tiempo duran los doctorados, qué metodología manejan y si se puede trabajar como asistente docente.
Okay. Well, the doctoral programs, it can be quite a number of years, right? I would say at a minimum, expect 4 years. I mean, I think that's at a minimum. There's usually a great number of classes that you have to take, right? Beyond what you've already done. If you've done a bachelor's, or beyond if you've done a master's, there's still a great number of classes and content that you need to be exposed to, right? Types of research, methodologies that exist in your field. So there's a lot to study still. And then there's also the dissertation component. And so the dissertation component, with all the research, getting the committee, doing the studies, how are you going to do the studies with the methodology you're going to use, that takes time too. And so I would say for students who are very fortunate and can do it, maybe do it full time, it might be 4 years, 5 years. But for other students, it might take a little longer. And so because it's such a great investment of your time and your energy, you want to really think it through and see if it's right for you.
Bueno, I have Jennifer question. It's a little bit long, so maybe you can check it, Nanette, in the Q&A
Okay.
box, please. Jennifer Diaz.
Ah, okay. I'm interested in answering the call. I have wrote down and want to know is still included in the agreement. I also want to know what the accreditation in relation to the master's degree mentioned to get. Okay. So a lot to unpack here. So there is a counselor education master's degree that we offer. The counseling education degree offers 3 tracks: rehabilitative counseling, school counseling, and mental health counseling. Putting that to the side, we also have psychology. And within the psychology program, there is a track which is counseling psychology. So it's 2 different departments, 2 different areas. Oftentimes students may be interested in one, and when they look and see all the different information, they decide, no, I really wanted this other one. So because of the nature of the overlap, I think it's really important to reach out to the program's directors, which are provided in the admission requirements site, the link that I shared earlier, because they can give you a sense of what you're going to be doing, right? The other thing is that we have a digital library, and it just so happens that we sat with both of these programs and recorded the sessions. So I'm going to look for the links so that you can access that information, because it might be a year or 2 old, the recording, but the content may not be that different in terms of what's being done now. And so initially, at least as you're looking for clarity, I would recommend that you highly look at those recordings, okay? The other thing is, in terms of the accreditation, the program director, I know I keep saying this, but the program director is really going to be your best friend, because they're the ones that can tell you what's expected in the field, whether or not you have to do that after the degree is completed, or if you can do that during the actual degree. Normally, programs are going to be 2 years long at the master's level, but guess what? For master's in counseling psychology or master's in counselor education, it's not. It's longer. The courses are 60 credits for the whole program. It's not 36. So that's something else that you want to keep in mind, right? Because it's going to take you longer. So let me look for those digital library links. 1 second. So this is a work in progress, and we try to have as many programs represented with recordings as possible. It just so happens, as I said, counselor education and counseling psychology are there. I would highly recommend that you search for your own programs of interest if that's not one of them, because there may be a recording there for you that can also provide more context. They're going to be talking about the research that they do. They're going to be talking about the format of the program, whether it's a cohort-based program, and all those types of things.
Then we're gonna go with Alexander. Él pregunta, ¿existen opciones para hacer postdoctorado? ¿Cómo sería el proceso para desarrollarlo? Sus áreas de interés son Tourism Management.
Okay. So, Claudia, I don't know if you can speak to more postdoc opportunities. I know they've been limited in the past, but we do have some postdocs at the university. So,
Yeah, we do have some postdoc opportunities, but it really depends on the faculty that you're working with and the research area. A lot of times it also depends whether they have grant funding or not. But I can tell you for tourism management, I am not aware of postdoc opportunities simply because we don't have a PhD program in tourism at FIU anyway. So at least not in that area.
Next, I have Juan Felipe. I would like to know the cost of a Master of Art Economics because I've searched a lot on the internet, but I didn't find anything.
okay. So, for just so you know, the majority of our programs, well, 2 things. Regular programs, which is what I'm going to give you the cost for, this has not changed in at least a decade. So, the cost is actually $1,001 per credit. So normally speaking, when you enroll, you're enrolling for 3 credits per class. 9 credits is considered a full-time student. As an international student, you must be full-time. So you have at a minimum to enroll for 9 credits every semester. Another question that's typically asked is there some kind of payment plan option, or because students are concerned, right? And I can tell you there is. If you choose a payment plan option, you can pay in 2 payments, you can pay in 3 payments. I don't think it reaches 4, but you can pay up to 3 at least over the course of that semester. So it buys you a little bit more time if it's necessary, right? Thank you, Claudia, for sharing the link. And so let's see, what else did I want to say about the costs? There are programs, this is something that you should ask, that are called market rate programs. What does that mean? That means that that particular program is going to give you additional benefits for the additional cost. So it is going to be more expensive, right? And it will vary by program. But one of the benefits that they give you is maybe finishing the degree more quickly. So you'll find this sometimes in the College of Business, where you'll finish a degree in 10 months instead of the traditional 2 years. Or you'll finish a degree in 12, 16 months, right? It's still faster. It's getting you back into the industry, getting you back to earning potential more quickly. In exchange for that, they're also going to ask you to pay more. They're also going to register you for the classes, so you don't have to worry about that. They may even offer you food during the classes. So there's other types of benefits that they give you in exchange for the additional cost. So market rate is something that you should ask when you're doing your research.
Yeah, and I would like to add also that for the purposes of our agreement with Colfuturo, market rate programs are not eligible for this agreement. So, you know, I do encourage you to find out if you're interested in a particular program, to just make sure that it is an eligible degree that falls under the agreement, so that you get the tuition benefit that we offer.
Thanks. And then we're going to go with the last question. Miguel is asking, do you offer special sponsorship for foreign students?
Well, I'm not sure if you mean by that like a graduate assistantship type of a sponsorship, or because there is quite a bit of funding, I can say. I didn't speak to that in an earlier question, but it is on a competitive basis, right? That's why one of the things you want to do as you're applying is also apply early, because in that early cycle or pool of students, there's much more likely to be funding available, right? You want to be very mindful of the deadlines. They're going to be different. Most of the time, the deadlines to be considered for those types of awards are different than the deadlines to apply for admissions, right? So sometimes the programs will ask you to be nominated by your department. This is one of the reasons we encourage you and recommend so highly that you reach out to the program directors early in the process, because the more they know you and what you're interested in doing, the more likely they're willing to vouch for you in these nominations. Right? And Claudia can certainly speak to that, because Claudia manages many of those awards.
Yes, so we do have other funding opportunities, fellowships to be more specific, but only for incoming doctoral students. So if you are interested in a PhD program, we do have other fellowships aside from the agreement that we have with Colfuturo that could be interesting for you, because it offers a stipend, we cover the insurance, so it has more benefits tied to it. And I will also drop the, let me look for the link, and I will drop it in the chat as well.
Oh, I put that in there. So,
You put, okay, great,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Returning the favor, Claudia. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was we do have scholarships. So even as an international student, you may be eligible for scholarships. Of course, less amount is available, it's more competitive, but I also added the link to the scholarship website, which we always recommend that you look at often, because there's new deadlines, new awards that are posted all the time.
Bueno, creo que con esto concluimos la sesión de preguntas. Todos los links e información que Nanet y Claudia comentaron están en el chat, Así que los invito a que antes de cerrarles la sesión puedan tomar o guardar estos links para que más adelante los puedan revisar. Así que sin más que añadir, agradezco a Ana Nedia y Claudia por estar el día de hoy aquí, por brindarnos toda la información y responder cada una de las preguntas. Asimismo, recordarles a quienes asistieron que esta sesión va a ser publicada en nuestro canal de YouTube para que más adelante también puedan refrescar esa información. Y por último, recordar que si desean acceder a uno de los beneficios por parte del convenio entre Colfuturo y la universidad, deben postularse al programa Crédito Beca, cuya convocatoria cerrará el 29 de febrero. Así que todos están invitados, pueden ir a la página web de Colfuturo, sección convocatoria, diligenciar el formulario y postular su programa de interés de, en este caso, la Universidad de Florida International University. Así que gracias a todos, un excelente resto de tarde y nos vemos en una próxima oportunidad.
Ok,
Gracias por invitarnos.
gracias.